Tuesday, March 23rd, year of our Lord, 2021. It's a Senate local and private committee hearing. I believe we have a quorum. So we'll get started. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Let's go down to House Bill 1509. This is nothing but an extend the repealer date for Hancock County tourism development. It doesn't do anything more than that. If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient to pass.
Y'all have heard the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes clearly have it. That'll be reported. Let's go to the next item. House Bill number 1529. Town of Como, extend the repealer on authority to impose tourism tax. It's our standard language. The only change is it extends the repealer date. If there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient to pass.
Heard the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll report that. The ayes clearly have it. We'll report it. Let's go up to, let's go back up to House Bill number 1497, Jackson County direct contributions to management and operations for the Mary O'Keefe Cultural Center and Arts and Education. Is anyone here prepared to speak on this bill? It's my understanding they want to contribute to the they want to contribute funds to the management operations for this cultural center. I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient to pass.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll report that bill out. House Bill 1498, Holmes County authorized contribution to Pearls Mentoring. 1498. Well, it looks like the county's being authorized. I mean, we could have combined all three of these. It's one author, it's three different, so we could take these up in block. I'm going to ask Senator Jordan to handle these on the floor and to research this. Let's take these next three items up in block unless anybody would like to set one aside. HB 1498, 1499, and HB 1500. If there are not any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient to pass.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Those three will be reported. Senator Blackman, I'm glad you're here. I was waiting on you, Senator Blackman. If you would take a close look at that last bill on today's calendar, would like to get your thoughts on that. You probably have already skimmed it, but when we get to it, I definitely want to get your thoughts. Let's go to House Bill number 1502, Mississippi Coast Transportation Authority to bear full cost of processing electronic payments. 1502. Okay, so what they want to do is they want to be able to accept credit cards and bear the cost of that. I do have an amendment that I would like to offer, or I'd like to, not amendment, I'd like to talk about this for a moment with the committee. I don't want this Coast Transit Authority moving to only a credit card or debit card system. And I'm afraid if we authorize this, that's exactly what they're going to do. It's important to me that U.S. legal tender still be accepted as a form of payment. So I would sure like to entertain a motion. If somebody has a motion that U.S. legal tender must still be accepted by the authority, and we can discuss it if you like, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Senator Kirby, you were a genius offering that brilliant amendment. I do too. So I'm going to ask council to find the best place in that bill to insert that U.S. legal tender must still be accepted by the Mississippi Coast Transportation Authority.
I ask a question related to that.
Ma'am?
May I ask a question related to that amendment?
Yes.
If we are doing that for just this local and private, there are lots of cities and counties that accept only electronic payments. So then we're going to be treating this entity differently from the other cities and counties.
There was a general bill this year to address that, and that bill died in committee. It was double referred, and it died in the second committee. But Senator Blackman, I can share with you that it's important to me that U.S. legal tender be accepted by all organizations in Mississippi. I'm deeply troubled when I see a real push to go completely electronic, and here's why. 14% of Mississippians either have no bank account or at all or are underbanked. And it's come to my attention this year that we're beginning to lock a certain percentage of our people out of transactions because people don't want to accept U.S. legal tender. And I think that's wrong. But
I don't have a problem with that, but what I'm saying is since that general bill died, then you're unfairly treating one entity, one city, when all the other cities and counties throughout the state are not treated that way.
Yep,
But
and
it is whatever the will of this community.
this is a high traffic area. That's a tourist destination. And there are. That's right, Senator Kirby. I agree.
There are.
Well, I know we have some.
I would just like to say,
This is not saying that you can, is it?
It's for fares on the transit authority. So that's what it's for. It's for mass transit busing, I would assume, or trolleys. Senator Tate, you recognize?
I would just like to say that, you know, in my business dealings, I see all the time where someone does have a bank account, does have a card, but it's declined for whatever reason. And so then that person would be even beyond the 14% that you're mentioning. And yeah, yes, sir, this is, you know, pointing out this one jurisdiction, this one entity here, but I'm with you as far as we come across them to make sure that legal tender is accepted. So I'm with you. I'm with both of you on the amendment.
Well, Senator Kirby's amendment, and we have an amendment before us, and I'd like you to, if you're prepared to vote on the amendment, unless there's any additional discussion.
So now what does the amendment do?
The amendment says that they still have to accept U.S. legal tender. Must also be accepted. We're giving them the authority to take credit cards and debit cards, but they also still have to have a pathway to accept cash on this authority.
Okay, so does this 1502 say that cash is not accepted?
It does not, but we're going to codify it that they still have to accept U.S. legal tender. So that's Senator Kirby's brilliant amendment. If you're prepared to vote on it, if you support the amendment, I ask you to vote aye. If you're against it, if you're against it, I ask you to vote nay. It appears the ayes have it. The ayes have it. We'll report that. I'll need a motion. We have a. Yeah, he said as amended. So that's correct. It's not a strikeout. It's amended. So all those in favor? Any opposed? The motion was made correctly. The motion is title sufficient do pass as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That will be reported with the amendment. Let's move on to House Bill 1504. City of Forest authorize a tax on hotels, motels, restaurants to promote tourism, parks, and recreation. It's double referred. Does anyone here want to speak on this bill? You know how I feel. I would prefer this be a general election and not a special referendum, but we do special referendums for others. So until that becomes, I am willing to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to offer that amendment, not related to the general election, but when the, instead of 21 days, that it be, I think it's 45 days,
Okay.
and then, 14 days, 40 days. On 72, 45 days, and on 74, 14 days.
We have an amendment before Senator Blackman. On line 72 to amend from 21 to 45 days, and on line 74 from 7 days to 14 days. I'm going to let that be a single amendment. And all those in favor of Blackman's amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that'll be incorporated in the bill. Is there any other discussion on this particular bill? Yes, sir.
So is this a special election or is it a general election?
It's currently a special election.
And this is just for the city of Forest.
Yes, sir. So now, and I'm willing to see on the special elections, it's a 60% requirement of electors. So I am willing to, it is a repealer. It will repeal July 1st of 2025. That's what we're doing. I just want this committee to be aware that I think we should shift to general elections in the future, but to be consistent, this is what we've done for others this year, is to a special referendum.
Mr. Chairman, one thing about this, unlike a previous piece of legislation, this is for a city.
Correct.
And so for a city, you only have a municipal election every 4 years. Whereas if it's a county election, you're going to have that 3 out of 4 years. So if we pass this and we say it has to be on a general election, it either is going to have to be this June or it's going to be June 4 years from now.
Correct.
I like the idea of having it on a general election, but that really is feasible for a countywide special election to be on a general election.
I agree. I think we should get through this year and then discuss it moving forward.
So if it's a countywide, it could be next year in November and it'd be no additional cost. It could be
Right.
the next November or the next November. But with it being a municipal, it either has to be this June or it's going to be June 4 years from now. I like the idea of doing a general election. It's just not feasible when it comes to municipalities.
Any other discussion on the bill? Y'all prepared to vote? If you support it, say aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, say nay. The ayes clearly have it. So we will, I'll entertain actually I did that incorrectly. I'll entertain a motion.
Title sufficient to pass as amended.
Title sufficient to pass as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll report that out. Now, Senator Whaley, you can request a minority report go with this if you like. Let's take up, we've already passed 1509, 1529. Let's go down to House Bill 1530. I have some questions about this bill, but I'd like to hear the committee's thoughts. City of Hattiesburg authorized waiver of lien under certain circumstances for costs associated with cleaning menaced property. Is anyone here prepared to present this bill? If not, we'll go through it. It appears the City of Hattiesburg is requesting an amnesty or a waiver for fees where public money has been spent on private property. On line 29, they're saying properties or individuals as a result of the city have acted to clear code violations. I understand the problem that's taking place. It's not unique to Hattiesburg. They're going in and cleaning blighted property, and then the cleanup exceeds the value of the property. So there's no way to dispose of it, but this is not unique to this city. This goes all municipalities have this same type of issue. And Senator Blackman, I know you're an attorney for a city. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'm not even sure.
I thought in those situations, in black, I'm sure no, but I thought when they clean up like that, they just added it to the taxes.
They do, but now the tax burden is so high, and that's the question, whether they even have the legal authority to do it, because the tax burden now exceeds the value of the property. You can't waive fees for judiciary violations, for tickets. Every city's carrying massive amounts of debt on the books because they can't waive tickets. There's no process on. Council, if you'd like to share something here and enlighten us.
Council, is it a violation of the state constitution and illegal donation?
We're going to meet again. Yes, sir. Yeah, Senator Whaley.
Is this only for vacant properties, or is this for all maybe a business, or
It's for blighted properties.
what's the definition of blighted?
So I came out of municipal government, and I'd like Senator Blackman to speak to this as well, if she will. But let's say that you have someone, it could be a residential or commercial property, and they've just neglected it, and the grass is head high. The city can go in and clean up property, and currently I think the maximum fine is $1,500. If there's no way to waive that once you apply it to the tax lien.
To that point, what if you have someone who is in the quote unquote junkyard business, like a pull apart business, and they have multiple vehicles that are sitting out on a lot? And is there anything that would say that would not be considered a blighted?
That's a good question, but they would be properly permitted through the city and have a business license.
I mean, I understand
as a salvage
that, but
yard.
is there anything that would designate that those businesses wouldn't be targeted under this?
I don't
Or
think
what if
that would
you had-
apply that would not apply because they have a business license and a permit to operate a salvage yard. That wouldn't apply. That's not what this bill's. This bill's attempting to address abandoned properties or properties that are severely. Yeah, you have a motion, Senator?
Yes, sir. I move that we lay this bill on the table, subject to call.
There's a motion before the committee. The motion is lay it on the table, subject to call of the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll lay it on the table, subject to call of the chair. I'll entertain an additional motion.
Rise and report.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
Is this not for a business not be considered?
It says code violations. First paragraph. Code violations.
Yes.
I know that would